dang, what should have went easy peasy smooth ended up being a fiasco. Okay, I told him, I said, hey, yeah, I got a membership, because I know I had bought a membership the last time I was there, especially when I seen all of these products that were a different rate if you were a member, right? And I'm like, and I ended up walking out of there feeling confused, right? I was confused. Like, I could have sworn I bought a member. And he was like, no, you're not a member. I said, but I'm coming up in your system, right? Why would I come up in your system if I wasn't a member? He said, oh, just to have a record of your purchases. And I was like, that sounds interesting, right? But then I went ahead and I paid the price without the membership price. And I was walking to the car and I was like, nah, you paid that membership price. 1 year. Right? And that's the reason why I said, well, let me go up here to Harbor Freight since I paid for a membership. So anyway, then we had to spend all kinds of time because, first you had to look up the fact that I did pay for a membership. I paid for it, but it didn't show me as a member. So whoever was putting in the data did not specify that I was a member, and I paid for 1 year. So because he didn't specify that I was a 1 year member, it didn't show me as a member, but I paid. Right? So this guy was, he was like, he tried to, this guy, he tried to do what she told him, but he'd never done it before. So he tried, I guess he replayed her exact words, tried to do exactly what his words said, and anyway, he was having difficulties. Right? So I told him, I said, well, if you don't know how to do it, let's call the manager. I said, because I'm the same way. You show me once, then it's etched in my mind. You probably will never have to show me again, unless I forget. But anyway, so I did get some replacement reciprocating saws. I got a pack of different kinds, and then I also decided to go ahead and buy a 25-foot extension cord, because I have been working with that 100-foot, and I'm telling you, it's a pain in the ass to roll up and stuff like that. So I decided, here's a 50-footer for $14. Let me go ahead and buy it, right? Especially when I was thinking about, an in-between size, because I bought a 10-foot 10 foot's not quite long enough. Not really. I think that's for like if you're working inside of a room or something like that and you need the extra extension. That's what that's for. The 100-foot, yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. So, you know, I might still need to use the 100-foot for the front yard, but I definitely don't need 100-foot for the backyard. And another thing I was thinking about, you know, because I was like, man, you know, cutting these wood planks down is hard work, you know. And I was thinking maybe I could just use, you know, the chainsaw. And I probably would have tried to use a chainsaw if I had a 25-foot extension cord. I probably would have. But anyway, oh God, I was in there, I'm sure, you know, longer than I wanted to. I definitely was going to walk away. Glad I didn't. It's really hard to get good help, you know, because that one little detail where this guy didn't put in the fact that I guess he left out a space, and that was the number of years. And I guess he felt like, well, if it's $29 and she bought a membership, you know, maybe he felt like, it's automatic. Well, it wasn't automatic. It made it appear as if I did not have a membership. And I did. But for me, you know, I like being right. I do. Now, if I had been wrong, you know, I would have been very sorry. And when I walked out of there, I was feeling like, wow, you know, I guess I was wrong about, you know, buying a membership. And I'm like, no way. I was thinking about it because I still hadn't opened up the screwdriver set that I had bought, because it was a reduced price if you were a membership. And I'm like, there's no way I would have bought that whole set of screwdrivers. There's just no way. And the reason why I bought them is because I was like, oh, it's such a good price, you know. Let me have the membership. And then the 10-foot cord was also a good price. The 10-foot cord, I think, was like $7.99 or $6.99 or something like that. So, yeah. And it was a little bit emotional for me, because it seemed like after I went into the store, then the store just got crowded. There was just all kinds of people. And then after I got into the line, then everybody wanted to check out. Yeah, that's what it was like. So dog, because I want her to stay healthy. to get weak. So here's the thing that I was thinking about today, right? Because I've been noticing that we still have people who are not suffering financially. They are not, right? And the only way the poor people are making money is by being of service to them. So if you got a gig job, right, you're probably delivering their groceries, their fast foods, and and you're saving them all of these conveniences. So the structure hasn't really changed that much, right? And some people may feel like, at least they have a little bit more freedom, and that could be true. That could be true in a way, right? If I was a man, like I said, I would be doing passengers for sure. I would be doing passengers, and I would at least be more intimidating to make somebody hesitant on doing anything foul. Because foul doesn't just have to be, throwing you out of your own car. Foul could be raping you, throwing you out of your own car, and leaving you dead, in a ditch somewhere. That would be like the foulest thing that I can think of. Woo! Yes. But, of course we have some groups, they've already identified the gangs, they've identified that, there was no reversal of wealth, period, right? And so they started, instead of trying to loot businesses, because the businesses have came up with different strategies. First of all, they don't have the actual products on displays. Second of all, when they do have the products on displays, they've locked them up as best as they could. As a result, what it looks like some people are doing is not only are they doing a home invasion, but they're doing a home invasion with occupants in the house. Very, very dangerous situation. Very dangerous. And safety concerns are definitely a priority when we start talking about not only people being, not only is their house being robbed, but the family members could be traumatized for sure. I mean, there's nothing worse than feeling unsafe in your own home. That's like the worst. That's the worst feeling in the world. So we're gonna go take a walk around this track here at the college. And that way, at least, you know, the only thing I will really have left to do is the second half of my lightweight exercises. Y'all. Man, you cannot be sleeping, slipping, or doubtful of your own mind nowadays. I'm telling you, you doubt your own mind, you know, and I'm like, okay, well, why was I making it a point to go to Harbor Freight to see if, you know, I could go and get, you know, quality tools for less, you know? And I turned around right before I got to the car and went back and decided to go ahead and make sure they verify it. Because I'm like, oh, dang, you know, I'm going to have to find out which credit card it was. I'm going to have to, yeah, that would be difficult. Because at that time, I didn't even remember what month. It could have been January, it could have been February, and it could have been March, right? But when I went back, it was as early as March, right? How do you forget a purchase as early as March? You don't really forget, but it's just not something that you felt like you had to remember because it should be in the system. Whew, I tell you what, like I said, you know, you can't be slipping mentally. You can't. Come on. Okay. Let's go. So here in Texas, one of the reasons why I also didn't want to go out is because there were some areas that had flooded out because we had like a downpour, right? And even if it wasn't flooded out, you know, my mind was, oh my gosh, you know, there's probably so much water on the highway that people would be slipping and sliding. And, you know, I would be scared that, you know, because, you know, some people, they don't slow down when, you know, the streets aren't optimal. They don't slow down. They're not extra cautious. Matter of fact, they just pretend like, you know, everything's normal, and it's not. Like I said, you know, the you know, even your vision is obscured because the rain was coming down so hard that it was splashing up off of the, you know, off of the ground after it hit the ground. So it made like a mist, you know, on the ground from splashing rain. That being said, those were days that I did not make money. Not even the little bit of money changed and stuff that I had been making. Now, hold on. You know, for people who have a place that they go and work, you know, as long as they can get back and forth, that's cool. But if your whole means of making money is out driving and being out in the element, I was like, no, I can't do that. You know, I don't have full coverage on my vehicle. And even if I did, I would have to have rental, uh, you know, I would have to pay my deductible. I mean, shit, right? And something like that can set you back. You'll be operating in the red, trying to catch up. So, yeah, I could not. Uh, so we're here at the community college here in Dallas. They have these beautiful fields and stuff. As you can see, the grass and stuff is very saturated. If you can see maybe some sunlight reflecting off of all of the puddles in the grass. Yeah. So I hadn't thought about what I was going to prepare to eat today. Get out that wet grass. Um, yeah, sometimes it's weird how some days you could watch videos and they're very inspiring, and then other days you can watch them and come on, uh, uh, come on. And other days you can watch them and it's like, what the heck, right? Um, I was watching, well, two of my favorite uh, YouTubers, and in a way, they were still cool, but something, bits and pieces of it had a little bit of distaste to it, right? Like the French guy, Kino, who's been bicycling from Kenya, I mean, from France all the way to the end of Africa. Okay, the bottom of Africa. And he's in South Africa right now. And he went to the vineyard there. And I believe he signed up for like 2 or 3 wine tasting events. And he ended the video, basically saying the food would have been like 500-600 euros in Europe, and but anyway, and he ended up leaving drunk. Now, I do give him credit. He could have went to his last vineyard, but he was like, "No, I'm just too drunk. Take me back home." That was a good thing. But then when he got home, one of his statements was, he's drunk and alone, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, that's the best thing for you to do, is to be drunk and alone. The hell? Why would you want to put somebody through your drunkenness? Huh? But men are crazy that way. It's like they got this backwards thinking. Why would a woman feel that being with a drunk man is enjoyable? I want to know. Now, he could have been talking about he would have rather be with one of his buddies or something, but I don't think so. Because even buddies, they do ratchet things to each other, especially if they know that you're drunk. They pull pranks on one another. Yeah. I don't think he was talking about alone with other dudes and you're drunk. Although, on another hand, you could be thinking in terms of, like how we think of a designated driver, right? You're drunk, and then you have a designated driver. Make sure that you get home safely with all your possessions and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. But that's not how it came across. It didn't come across in that way. So, anyway, there was just something interesting about the way he ended the video. And on his way home, he had came across this other couple that was from Norway. And they were also doing a tour. And the message that they presented was, the tour of the winery and doing a taste test for them was for educational purposes only, and not necessarily to consume as much wine as possible. And I'm sure when this guy thinks about it, maybe it might take him 5 years to actually go back and say, wow, you know, I cannot believe that, you know, I felt as though if I buy, you know, taste testing of these wines, that I couldn't just taste them, that I had to actually, you know, consume all that I was given. Now that man would clean off a plate. He'll clean off a plate whether he really likes a food or not, you know. He does not waste. And that could be part of it. That this guy is a person that will not waste anything, drink or food. That could be it. But I like his travels. I like that he's athletic. You know, that, you know, he's also a good content creator. And I think he only posts like once a week. So yeah. But you know, he does not he does a lot of editing. Let's just say that. I believe he does a lot of editing, and like, yeah. So that's kind of why when you see somebody and you know you think of them in terms of, you know, being professional, right? You think of them in terms of being professional. You know, they've been doing, you know, YouTube for years. And, you know, I guess I just expected, you know, the high standard of videos that they had been doing all the time, you know, especially if I had shared those videos, you know, if I had shared those videos, say for instance, I had shared their last video, right? I shared their last video, giving this guy, you know, support and raving about, you know, their videos, and that I've been watching them, and then boom, the very next video, you know, people will say, what? You know, she's watching this French guy, you know, go around Africa drinking wine, but he's never drank in any of his other videos. You know, for him, I guess it was like once in a lifetime opportunity, right? And of course, the French are known to love their wine. not just the French though. I think the Muslims were known for their wine too. Like if you were to go to like most Muslim bars, you know, they usually are wine drinkers, and that's, you know, why a lot of times, you know, the old language was, you know, talk about wine skins, like that, you know. So yeah. But like I said, you know, he does look like he really enjoys his food. When he was eating that gourmet food, it was almost like you could see the different flavors just explode inside of him. It's weird. I mean, I don't say that about most people. But him, wow. When he's eating, he's very animated. Who knows? Maybe he's a Taurus. So yeah, I was able to get some reciprocating saws. Oh, and I bought a flashlight. I bought a flashlight just in case I decide to get out early in the morning before sunrise. Because when I was out early in the morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't see apartment or addresses. You know, it's just like, wow. And that's why I suppose I only really did that once. Because it's like, yeah, you can get out there. Yeah, you can get a call. But you might be driving around, trying to look for, the address. See? And sometimes it's hard to find the address in broad daylight. Because people don't be putting their address, conspicuously. A lot of times they might put it somewhere and it might be overlooked easily. So anyway, I got a flashlight. I rarely keep flashlights for very long, but I did buy like a year warranty on it. This is a flashlight that Harbor Freight makes themselves. So they're the ones that basically, guarantee the flashlight. I also bought a solar light because I don't have a solar light that works for the front yard. And the ones that I had before, they're old and yeah, they're not working, and yeah, there's a motion sensor, solar operated light. and it was $4 off, so I bought it. So yeah, and even though what I did should have been simple, it took a lot of energy out of me. It really did. I mean, I was kind of confused. So I'm gonna go check my mailbox when I get back home, see if I got my Uber card, because I don't know, I don't want to be caught. I don't want to be caught in a situation where they're like, yeah, you canceled your card and we can't pay you now. Like, what? No. Or another situation where I'm working and they don't have a bank account, they don't have a card. I couldn't figure out what happens to the money. That's what I couldn't figure out. Well, what happens to the money if I go to work? So I just decided to do the DoorDash thing. What was that? Yesterday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't raining. It's threatening rain. But oh my God, working in the dark is no joke when you're old and you got bad eyes. Bad eyesight. So you getting tired? You getting tired? Yeah. She hadn't gone walking in today, so we got to keep her healthy. Keep that heart strong and pumping. Strong and pumping. I have noticed that she does walk slower now. Normally I have to hold her back. Now I feel like I'm almost pulling her to walk, which is weird. Come on. Gotta keep going. We're almost there. But yeah, this is the college park that they have, and it's like a jogging trail or a walking trail. It's very beautiful. Got a couple of fountains over there in the middle. Not very many trees for shade, but at least they got a couple of trees, at least, here and there. But getting back to what I was saying, I'm not sure what I'm going to eat for dinner. Just not sure. Let's cross here, and then we'll cross there, and then we'll walk through the parking lot to the car. How about that? Yeah. So it feels like it warmed up out here a little bit. If I was to guess, I would say it's in the low 70s. Today, even though it was mostly clear skies, it didn't get very hot. So it wasn't like, you know, immediate evaporation of the drenching rain that we had experienced the last 2 or 3 days.